Well, John's duded up as usual.
Oh, yeah.
Betty looks nice and warm.
Yeah.
And Chip looks chipper.
Morning. He looks chipper, yeah. So,
How's
yeah.
the sound? Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, fine.
Mhm.
There's Sylvia.
Morning.
How are you?
Morning.
Doing well. Got a little bit warmer here yesterday.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So glad for that.
Hi, Sue.
Good morning for everyone.
There's Dan.
Good morning, Dan. Sue.
Funny, I don't know where to look, at the TV or at the screen here in front of me.
When I have done that, I've had that same problem. Do I look at the people in person? Do I look at the ones on the screen, or do I look at the big screen?
Look at the, Bryn, look at the screen. You're facing straight now.
Maybe I'm better this way. Which is my best side?
Take a vote.
Yeah.
There you go.
How about this?
Yeah, the back of your head. That's right.
David?
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning, David.
Watching tractor shows from Florida yesterday. Green in the Sun, I think it was called.
What is it?
Green in the Sun.
Green?
Something like that. It was all John here at some gathering down in Florida. People came from all over.
That could have been the one. This is February, I guess, up in northwest of Orlando. Up there, there's a gathering of old machinery and old tractors. I don't remember what it's called. Jody and I used to go to it and watch the old cars and old tractors and people dressed up like early Floridians and all of that sort of stuff. Pretty nice, pretty big show. Bigger than the Indiana State Fair. Bigger than, I mean, bigger size-wise, acreage, and machinery and all of the stuff to go with it, without the carnival.
Wow.
There was one family there from Georgia, African-American family, and he had the first, the grandfather had the first tractor that he farmed on.
Oh, wow, cool.
You know, one of the 2-cylinders that he'd restored, and he brought 19 other tractors and 29 members of his family to help show him.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, we enjoyed that. You and Jody enjoyed it. Yeah.
What's that picture we took at the state fair where were you wearing a shirt, the t-shirt that said something about we'll trade wife for tractor?
Yes, and there was an old fellow. Me at that time, he was old. Today, I'm sure he's young, but he had a white beard and white full head of hair, and was standing there next to a John Deere motor that they mount and do things with. He had it putting away behind him there, and we walked up and we're watching him, and he shut it off and he looked at me and looked at Jody, looked at me again and said, "What manner of tractor would you require?"
Pretty cute. Well, we took Rashidi and families sledding on the hills with a toboggan and a couple of saucer sleds yesterday.
Oh, wonderful.
That was quite a lark.
Yeah.
First time ever. I kept saying, is this the first time ever you've done this? That first time ever.
Well, yeah.
Did they enjoy it?
Well, it was a lousy sledding day because the temperature was getting up close to 40 and the snow was soft and wet and it didn't slide very well. But they didn't know any better, so they were happy.
Morning, Steve.
Hey, good morning, Dave.
Well, Sylvia, a few years back when Andy was a senior in high school, we had Jose Pachard from Zacatecas, Mexico, that stayed with us for a year and went to Decatur. And he was so excited because he had seen snow once when he was 5 years old, and it snowed at school during lunch, and the kids all ran out and introduced him again to snow.
Yeah, I've had to do some instruction on how to make a snowball, what you do with a snowball when you have it.
What do you do as Quaker? You can't throw it at anybody, can you?
Oh, yeah, we can, can't we, Dave? This is what brothers do to little sisters. This is what sisters do to big brothers that tease them.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
A lapse of memory there, huh?
Yeah, really. Selective memory.
Selective memory, I like that.
When I grew up in Phoenix, the snow bowling in Flagstaff, I had been there several times, but I was 30 years old before I actually saw it snowing.
Really.
Hard to believe.
Count your
It
blessings.
would be for anybody here, but yeah. And that was in Prescott. I saw Kitty.
Tail.
Yeah, I think I bumped her out of her chair. She's not real happy with me.
I see.
Oh no.
I had a grandmother who grandfather who lived in Southern California, and they'd send their Christmas pictures, and it was just like, that's not Christmas. Yeah. Out there by picking oranges off their trees and
Oh, that is Christmas.
even feel like Christmas. With that. So foreign.
Dale, good morning, Megan.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing okay.
Have we already heard an update on our Congolese friends?
We took them sledding yesterday.
Oh, nice.
It was a little warm and sticky on the snow, so they didn't work real well to go down the hill, but I think they had a good time and didn't know the difference. So
Well, it's been very cold here.
Dan hooked up the toboggan. Well, how long is that? About 10 feet?
Oh, about 15 feet, I think.
Wow.
Oh, you got quite a toboggan.
Hooked it up to the little old Alice Chalmers tractor and
Ferguson
oh,
tractor.
Ferguson tractor. Shame.
Oh, let's get the tractors right.
There's a difference there.
Just took them for a ride, round and round. Yeah.
Nice.
So I buried the tractor in a snowdrift.
Sure did.
I'm trying to get out in the spring.
Yeah, we shoveled till we got it out, but I watched.
Everyone brings what they have to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say it was an Al Ferguson tractor?
There's a Massey Ferguson 35.
Massey Ferguson?
A wrong color and sounds funny.
Yeah. Now, we keep a couple of those little old tractors just because they're handy for things like pulling toboggans and what have you.
Will the new ones handle it?
The new ones do a better job, but I mean, something, it fits more the size of the job.
Keep those around to appreciate the ones you have today, don't you?
Right, yeah.
I was just down at the diner, and I have to tell you, it's so important to keep in touch with people from all different perspectives. I just spent, it's like it's a spiritual task to maintain a friendship with somebody. You know, we're just diner friends, but we're friends with somebody who thinks so differently, you know, watches Fox TV and thinks it's not far right enough, you know, and who is absolutely convinced that, you know, we had somebody in there who doesn't even believe, you know, what do you mean by the pandemic? You know, like, what was that really? I don't know. But I'm very glad that you know that we all have that of God, and I'm very glad to have had all the spiritual friendship I've had from everybody, you guys and everybody, to remind me that we got to find the things that we love about each other.
Well, I spoke with one of your spiritual friends this week, Beth Kalea.
Oh, Beth. Yes.
So,
What are you
Jonathan.
guys up to?
Jonathan.
Morning.
QREC is applying for a Lilly grant. They wanted me to get a letter in support of it for some reason. So
Well,
I said I would.
thank you.
Now, are you meeting in the center this morning?
Yes, we are. And
Okay.
there's a couple different floors here. Main room is just the concrete that's been sanded down, filled in, and then epoxied over. It looks like a skating rink. Kind of shiny. And then back where the bathrooms and kitchen are is a textured flooring, epoxy. So, very attractive.
Vast improvement over the nasty indoor-outdoor carpet that had probably been here for 100 years and was filthy. This looks really nice.
Yes, nice and clean.
Did they put something in it so that it's not slippery if it's wet?
I don't know.
It looks like it's wet all the time. I mean, it's that shiny, so.
But I haven't had any traction problems.
No, it doesn't seem slick even when there's dampness on our shoes.
Yeah.
That's
Monday
good.
it seemed just fine, and there was more moisture in the air then.
Well, Norma's got our music today, so if we'll send her in and with the prelude. For announcements, we will have Sunday school at 10:35 for those who are able to join us. Are there other announcements that folks can think of for information? Well, how about joys and concerns to share? Betty.
My brother actually had his surgery finally and is doing well.
Good.
Maggie has been discharged from the hospital. She has
Yay.
completed the normal protocol for having the kind of cancer that she does at her age. She's not totally out of the woods yet, though. She has a little blip in the system that is unusual enough the doctors don't know what to do about it. So she continues to need our thoughts and prayers while the doctors consult with all other doctors in the country to try to figure out how to handle this particular little thing that we hope is a little thing.
How's
My,
your friend?
my cousin Scott, who I asked prayers for, who was in with leukemia, had all his work done and then had to stay another month till his counts got up, and he's home. And his regimen for the next few months will be I think it's every 2 weeks for a treatment and then a transfusion if he needs one, but he's back at home and his hair is starting to grow again. And as the only one of us of the Bill men who have hair, he is happy to see it coming back in. Otherwise, he would look like the rest of us.
Can I ask what happened to Maggie's friend?
Yeah, I don't know the total latest. Last I heard, she had been discharged from the hospital also. And was running around the hospital playing with Maggie and feeling good and all that. And she had been discharged from the hospital to go home for a little while. Then she will have to go to the Children's Hospital in Cincinnati for radiation therapy. I don't know why it's something they can't do here, but at any rate, that's the next step for her. But she'll continue to need our prayers. She's out of the hospital, but not out of the woods yet too. So she will continue to need our prayers as well.
Thank you.
Well, my dad would have been 105 today.
My siblings are 68 today.
Well, I had a birthday on Wednesday. I am not afraid to tell you that I was 86 years old on Wednesday. And I went to the pavilion as I often do, and I walked a mile. And I did it last year on my 85th birthday, and I intend to keep going mile a day if I can.
For the next 86 years.
Yes, there you go.
Oh, great. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Family's going to celebrate today at the Iron Skillet.
Ooh. Can I go?
They have reservations. I'm so sorry. You have to talk to
Haven't been
my
there for
daughter-in-law
years.
Jenny about that.
Well, joys abound, concerns abound. Let's hold them in the light as we center. Sylvia is our worship leader, and she will lead the rest of semi-programmed worship as she feels led.
These are the words of the music that Norma played Love divine, all loves excelling, joy of heaven to earth come down, fix in us thy humble dwelling, all thy faithful mercies crown. Jesus, thou art all compassion, pure unbounded love thou art. Visit us with thy salvation, enter every trembling heart. On this date, in I think 2012, Dale and I were in Cuba with a work and visitation team sponsored by Friends United meeting. Megan was there. She can fix it if I get something here wrong. It's where I first met Megan. It was the first Sunday of February when we attended worship at Hibara Friends, which is where we were working to do renovations to the church so that the Peace Institute could be housed there. Is that the right place, Megan? Our attention was immediately drawn to the red and pink decorations in the front of the church. The friends there said it was their tradition to celebrate the month of love. They explained that each Sunday they would be inviting couples to renew their vows during worship. And what delighted us most was the large archway, sort of a trellis thing that some creative souls had decorated with red and pink and white ribbons and plastic flowers for the renewal of the vows ceremonies. The trellis had been made from 3 large 5-inch PVC pipes that had just been purchased to be used in the upcoming work project to be a sewer line. I think Dale then decided that our team would probably be digging the trench for the sewer, but maybe not laying it yet. After all, it was the trellis for the wedding ceremonies. The guys would have to lay it after we left because we couldn't stay for the whole month of love. My message a couple of weeks ago was about the meaning of Christmas for us, and if we had boxed it up and put it away 3 weeks later. I mentioned that early friends believed that a special day shouldn't need to be set aside for celebrating Christmas, but that the message of Christmas should be lived every day, all year round. We are meant to share the good news and teachings of Jesus in the way we live our lives every day, all the time. Today, I wish to share some thoughts about love, which some of you may be thinking is because of Valentine's Day coming up. Well, I have done this before, but have come across some different food for thought about love and the importance of love in our lives and in our faith work. And this isn't just to commemorate Valentine's Day or the month of love, but to increase our understanding of the how-to when it comes to following Jesus's great commandment. You may be thinking I've prepared a message about romantic love, which we generally think of in Valentine's Day. I could list the 4 types of love, or the 7 types of love that have Greek names, or the 12 types, but you've been through those before. I want to share some thoughts about aspects of love that those various kinds of love have in common, and how we practice them as we live out our commandment to love each other. I'll be making several references to the book titled All About Love, New Visions by Bell Hooks. Maybe you know Bell Hooks. She was born Gloria Jean Watkins. Bell Hooks was her pen name, taken from her grandmother's name. She was born south of Evansville in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and was distinguished professor in residence at Berea College. She passed away just a year ago. I guess it is appropriate to be paying attention to her during Black History Month, but there we go again. I think she is worthy of our attention all the rest of the year too. Near the beginning of the book, Bell Hooks says this: imagine how much easier it would be for us to learn how to love if we began with a shared definition. The word love is most often defined as a noun, yet all the more astute theorists of love acknowledge that we would all love better if we used it as a verb. She said she spent years searching for a meaningful definition of the word love and found one in M. Scott Peck's classic book, The Road Less Traveled, which was published in 1978. Bell says, Scott defines love as the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. Explaining further, she says, love is as love does. Love is an act of will, namely both an intention and an action. Will also implies choice. We do not have to love. We choose to love. Since the choice must be made to nurture growth, this definition counters the more widely accepted assumption that we love instinctively. Bell goes on to say that babies respond to affectionate care. And as they grow older, they respond to affection by giving affection. But affection is only one ingredient of love. To truly love, we must learn to mix various ingredients: care, affection, recognition, respect, commitment, and trust, as well as honest and open communication. Let's take a look at a familiar scripture from the book of John that gives us a clue about the meaning of love. These are the words of Jesus in John 15. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you obey my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have obeyed my Father's commands and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, that he lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends, for everything that I learned from my Father I have made known to you. You do not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you to go and bear fruit, fruit that will last. Then the Father will give you whatever you ask in my name. This is my command: love each other. He was speaking to his disciples then, but surely to disciples now. If we take that scripture and substitute the ingredients of love according to Bell Hook's thoughts, Jesus' commandment might say, have affection and care for each other, recognize and respect each other, commit to the growth of yourself and other people, and communicate honestly with each other. I guess love love each other is a little shorter, but maybe this is a little more helpful. Have affection and care for each other, recognize and respect each other, commit to the growth of yourself and other people, and communicate honestly with each other. That means that love is not just a feeling, but intentional actions toward building, nurturing relationships with the people you know and meet along the way of life. You may be familiar with Gary Chapman's 5 languages of love, the secret to love that lasts. Chapman writes about the 5 ways we communicate love to our partner or our spouse, which are spending quality time, words of affirmation, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. I learned about this book from a friend whose marriage was about to end, and he confided that his wife hadn't given him any of those things in years. Those aspects of love are not so different than what Bell Hooks writes about, though she doesn't limit them to romantic relationships, except perhaps the exception of physical touch. Chapman emphasizes that love is not just an emotion, but requires intentional efforts to nurture the other person. We have to work at spending quality time with people. We have to work at saying words to affirm and encourage others. We have to be intentional about acts of service. We may have to work at receiving gifts from people that call for humility and appreciation for their efforts to connect with us. I really like this quote from Chapman's book. For love, we will climb mountains, cross seas, traverse desert sands, and endure untold hardships. But without love, mountains become unclimbable, seas uncrossable, deserts unbearable, and hardships become our lot in life. We also have to work at being honest in our relationships. Jesus said we need to let our yes be yes and our no be no. Speak candidly, speak truthfully. Bell Hooks devotes a whole chapter to explain that love requires complete honesty. When we mess up, we confess it. When we think we might get in trouble for telling the truth, we tell the truth anyway. If our desire is for control or power over a person, if that is what's paramount in our relationship, we must face that and do what it takes to focus on sharing and collaborating. If there is secrecy and lack of trust, it is impossible to nurture spiritual growth. Among its other bits of wisdom about love, 1 Corinthians 13 says, love rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts. So Bell Hooks says, living life in touch with the divine spirit of God in us lets us see the light of love in all living things. And I would say, let us be the light of love for all living things. It gives our life its meaning and purpose. Love is an active force that should lead us into greater communion with the world. Practicing love is not just a way to give our lives satisfaction. It is the way we work to end oppression and help God bring about his kingdom here on earth as it is in heaven. I'd like to end with the message today by reading yesterday's devotional message from Bob Goff's book, Live in Grace, Walk in Love. We've been quite entertained and inspired by this book. Give away love like you're made of it. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. When my kids were little, I used to hang piñatas from our favorite tree in the backyard as often as possible. Sometimes we did it for birthdays. Sometimes we did it because it was Saturday. And what better day for a piñata than Saturday? I'd sneak off to the store to get a dinosaur or unicorn or rainbow-colored zebra, fill it with candy, and 2 hours later, we'd be scrambling through the grass in search of starbursts. The more opportunities I've had to blow it as an adult, the more other people's responses have reminded me we're a lot like those piñatas from the backyard. When people erupt into fits of rage, when they're wronged, or surprise us with tenderness when we know they've been hurt, we get to see what's inside of them. We see what they're made of whenever they break. Hopefully, it's not with a baseball bat, but at some point in life, something will break you. We can't avoid it because we're all a little broken and we're bound to get things wrong. Someone will eventually nestle their way into your heart and let you down. And when they do, you'll either explode in anger or show a steady stream of love. Be love. So love will flow out when people fail you, just like it flowed from Jesus when he took the fall for us. Give away love like you're made of it. Let it fill you up like candy in a piñata, so that when you take a hit, it's what will pour out of you. What loving thing can you do today for someone who isn't expecting it?
Shut this off.
Sausage and brown.
Thank you, Sylvia and Norma. Let's continue with more on program worship and yes, God be with those who need to leave. So blessings on you. Hope to see you either at Sunday school or next week.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Are all hearts clear to close worship, meeting for worship this morning? Well, good to see you all. Stay warm out there in the frozen Northeast. Give our greetings to
Warming up
Wellesley
already. It's in the
folks
20s.
who-
Megan, you had asked for prayer requests for a friend of yours at Cambridge meeting, I think, at one point. How is she doing? Is that Eunice or Eileen or somebody whose name starts with an E? Or
I had
Esther?
talked about Chester. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Cambridge. I'm gonna have to go think about that.
Somebody who was the clerk of something and was surprised at having some pretty.
Oh, Esther, our clerk.
Okay,
Our,
yeah,
she's well, you know, I mean, it is what it is. She has stage 4 breast cancer and we don't know what time she has. But she seems to be taking treatment that will support her and that has and may extend things. And you know, she's not someone who, you know, wears it on her sleeve. So it's kind of hard to tell because you don't really want to force her to talk about